getting the first pick.
Get three, Pyro, get three with the
Blade Kid putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Experience tranquility.
One.
Whenever you are deciding to watch this broadcast, I am going to be your play-by-play caster for tonight, username _intel here, joined by Vol, and we are here for a very special game. More specifically, we have two teams who have brought themselves from the preseason, Reminiscence versus Lotus, as they plan to take home a fictional title. But how are you doing today, Vol?
I'm doing excellent. I have been hyped for this matchup all day. Woke up, just could not wait until 8:30 tonight. Oh man, I've just been looking forward to this so much. We have our preseason tournament all coming to a head tonight. We have all of our matchups in Reminiscence tonight, looking to make it 2 for the Nostalgia Org, with their sister team taking the Harmony Tier preseason championship.
Man, it was so ironic. I remember sitting there, bringing it to a map 5 of all, and being able to beat out Koala Kings in an impressive category. And I have to say, when it comes to bringing in your kind of main team or sister team in a sense, there's a lot of expectations, but I feel the fact that they've had a different team kind of bring out that victory within the preseason, it says a lot of what they're doing and how they're treating these teams. And I'm a little worried to see how well they'll do compared to the, opposing side. I don't have much information on them, so I kind of have to go off, what I'm going to see.
Yeah, both teams coming in haven't really struggled too much getting through this preseason tournament. You're talking, Reminiscence has had a 3-0, a 3-1, and a 3-1 pretty quickly. And Lotus, 3-0, 3-0, and then a 3-1 versus the Quokka Queens. I mean, both these teams coming back from last season, they've got a few core players that have been sticking together, and you can really see that in the synergy that they have, just mowing over some of these newer teams that, maybe have higher SRs or better mechanically, but they just do not have the game sense, the gameplay that these teams have playing together.
Yeah, I think that can make a very major difference when it comes to kind of this elo and how you're playing in these teams. But that really makes a change, especially I think when you specifically go on a type of map. More exactly, because we're starting out on a control map, specifically being Lijiang Tower. I love Lijiang Tower. How do you feel about Lijiang Tower?
Right with you. I love Lijiang, especially as an opening map, because you get so many different types of compositions. On something like Control Center, it's a very, very small, very tight-knit map, so you get like Junkrat Symmetra, a lot of spam, to get through that. But then you have Gardens, which is a very wide open. You see a lot of 6-man dive, or you'll see a Pharah or an Echo here and there. And then you have Night Market, which can be anything. You'll see Fear, you'll see Wrecking Ball, you'll see Brawl comps, you'll see Dive comps, you'll see Spam comps. It'll, so it's very much going to test the players and the coaches going into this map.
Yeah, the variety is there, and it can definitely bring something new to the table. You get kind of a lot of ideas, especially kind of in this elo. I feel that we have a good opportunity to see different styles and different formations of what exactly what they want to do. And when we're on this point exactly, I do believe it's specifically famous for a form of rush, where you pick out the Symmetra, Junkrat, and you just go ham, right?
Yeah, that is kind of the quote-unquote meta for the map meta. For this map in particular, and it's one of those weird maps where it is a specific meta just for this map alone, or just for this point alone. But we have seen some teams try to shirk that meta. Occasionally you'll see something like a Pharah come in and try to kind of skate around it, but it looks like coming out here, we're gonna see almost an exact mirror, except for DNA and Gamma Rays on the Diva and Sigma respectively here. DNA, I know from back in the day, very, very solid diva player.
That's going to be really impressive. I feel these two types of off-tanks make very differing kind of ways you want to play this comp. The Diva, you can eat a lot more, while the Sigma gives you a bit more protection value, I think, the way it goes.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though. That double shield going against the symmetric concept is going to be able to build up that level 3 beam fairly quickly, I would assume.
Oh, how is it going to be so quick and calm when you're already down 2 on the side of Lotus, as they're just not going to be able to survive throughout this quick and easy brawl? That's what the Diva gives you, kind of that big advantage when it comes to the fight.
No, as though on that Junkrat, just a very, and that's what Junkrat can do. He doesn't have to see to kill you. He can bounce his grenade all over the place, get you from these weird angles, bounce it off the roof, whatever he wants, and he can get kills before you even know you're in a fight.
Now they're getting capture of the point. They want to try to get some form of control as they move into the server room. However, it's going to be looking like Remnants are doing an amazing job of pressuring them out. They did switch over to the Diva, and it looks like they're going to be able to catch out Bloodhungry really early. So Asgo's trying to go onto the flank, able to find out Pineapple, while Concept's able to trade out with the Junkrat, while the rest of Lotus are trying to push in onto the point. We're going to be seeing that BAP window come out. That's going to be putting in the increased damage, yet Asdo's going to be the one going down during the fight. It seems that they're just not going to be able to be doing much. Looks like they're just going to be having kind of stall and poke while, and though the Diva is able to pick off Lotus's main tank, that does give them the kind of win to push back.
Yeah, Lotus doing an excellent job playing line of sight away from that window, but again, this Junkrat coming from Reminiscence, just getting this off angle, using the trap to prevent anybody from forcing him off that angle too quickly, and just giving Concept on the symmetric time to build up that beam and build up that damage.
What an amazing use of a first ability. That window from Pineapple is just not going to get any value because it's stuck behind the wall. Increasingly with that shatter, sure as those, wow, Riptide doesn't get much value, but Concept is there. He's looking at just melting down, and there's just nothing you can really do as you're just a victim to the beam.
Somebody's got to tell Lotus that wall doesn't work both ways. Before him dropping the shield, and Bloodhungry just comes in with a massive shatter, and then the cleanup afterwards was just
like kind of an even fight. Now they're just trying to move in. They don't really have much control over the point, but they do have two big ultimates that can give them room to play. As you're moving out, it looks like Concept just trying to be building up that wall. We're seeing the shield go down low. The shatter is built. It does get blocked, however, as they go down dangerously low on the side of Remnants. They took a bit too much damage, and that window comes out a bit too late. So we're seeing Oxygen just being able to start melting them down, giving them an ability to kind of control this point for a tiny bit longer.
Yeah, and good news for Lotus, they only had to invest 2 ultimates in that fight. They didn't have to invest the Riptire, so now they're going to have 3, and probably get window, halfway through this fight, although I am going to fill it up pretty quickly. They'll probably have 4 ultimates in this fight, and I want to see an early ultimate here out of Lotus.
I definitely agree. Early ultimates are big factors to be able to move in. And comparably, both of these teams go one side with one more ultimate compared to the other. So using ult first is a big way to kind of win the fight. And yet we're going to be seeing the entirety of Remnants start backing up Death Loss and Diva Bomb, all stuck behind a wall. And it's going to be looking like Remnants has no issue just slowly LOSing them and being able to win off this point. Really, the Diva's just going to be staggering themselves for a tiny bit.
Yeah, Reminiscence came in with that early symmetric wall, and even though Toxin got off of, what would have been a really good Death Blossom, was just stymied by that wall. And that's how it's been, this whole match. This Concept has just been, sticking it to Lotus, anywhere they can.
And now it's a bit unfortunate. It looks like that Shatter's going to be able to hit Pineapple, and then they're going to be able to force them out. And really, the only person who's going to be able to long stall on this point is going to be the Wrecking Ball, and yet they have to get off for a couple seconds, get a mini health back, and end up dying, which is going to be giving Remnants full control of the point and the first victory when it comes to this.
Yeah, the biggest difference I saw there was just a complete and utter tempo takeover by Reminiscence. Just playing fast, playing in your face of like, hey, this is our point, we're gonna take it, and we're gonna stick it to you, and you're not gonna get anywhere near it. We're gonna hit first, we're gonna hit harder, and honestly, Lotus needs to speed up their game if they want to have any chance during this finals matchup.
Definitely see what you mean. However, it looks like Lotus just want to go for no forcing momentum. They really want to play a bunker type of composition, force the enemy team to walk into them with the double shields and that Doomfish just being able to punch in once they get to that point.
Again, I'm not sure about this double shield against the Symmetra. It's just gonna allow her to build up that beam. Oh, Asho!
Yeah, and it hurts when Astos is gonna punch her Lucia dead in the face. Oxygen is able to find out that Baptiste, but it looks like they're not gonna need any type of worry. They're being able to build up so much damage for the Symmetra because of the shields. Remember, it reloads the ammo and it does extra. So while that teleport is still there, there's really no one there to just touch the point.
Yeah, that early kill, taking out the Lucio, means there's no amp heals. So much sustain is gone. And when you don't have sustain and there's a Symmetra on the other team with free beam, you're not gonna win that fight.
I definitely see what you mean. So now when they want to come in, this is just one type of kill box. They want to try to enter in. They want to trespass. However, as those on the flank, able to get a nice uppercut. However, if you do see the Reinhardt on the side of Lotus kind of push in, but doesn't get that heal. Not enough time, and it looks like they're just going to be taking a bunch of damage. Even that slams will be able to find out Oxygen, as the rest of them are just back inside the spawn room.
Oh no. Oh no, no, just have mercy.
You see, that's such a dangerous thing to do because once a D.Va remix, that's 250 damage that you might get hit with.
Yeah, that's the new thing. You know, in previous seasons, that D.Va would probably still be alive. They'd probably just be killing her now. But now you have to worry about that remake kill. And so, it's, okay, we're gonna stab her for a little bit, but let's not let her, you know, do too much.
Yeah, now wanting to go back inside the kill box, we're going to be seeing Concept use the window really early. This puts the Shatter in a very uncomfortable position, but it's still going to manage to hit a couple of people. Then the counter charge is going to be able to shut them down from getting any value, and Blood Hungry is looking for more to absorb back into his flesh pits as he's just shutting down the rest of the backline for the entirety of Lotus.
And again, we see the value of that early ultimate, the wall from Concept coming out right as the fight starts, completely negating the window, forcing Euphoria to come up on that side angle for the Shatter and exposing themselves. And then Blood Hungry comes in with the counter charge, and then the counter Shatter. Simple as that.
Yeah, but now look how worried this has to be. The Reinhardt has to block it, is going to be able to, especially with the immortality. But they're so low from the D.Va bump that they're having to play a big split. Yet they still manage to get themselves in the advantage, not only finding out Blood Hungry, but the Baptiste. And so the rest of the side of Remnants, similar to the last map, they're not going to be able to fully this out 100-0. Now they just have another attempt to try to win this out.
Yeah, and no ultimates invested by Lotus there. Again, they're winning these, when they do win these fights, they're doing so with very, very good ult counter. And I want to see them try to build up this McCree ult very, very quickly. Although it looks like Reminiscence isn't going to give them time. This is what I'm talking about. The speed that they're playing at is just at a completely different level.
Yeah, when you're able to move faster than someone, you're gonna outbeat the turtle, but sometimes being them is gonna let you beat the hare, so we're just gonna see how they do this. That Shatter gets canceled by the charge. Luckily, the Salvator is there for a tiny bit of peel. On out like Concept as we see Blood Hungry to the Shatter. Unfortunately, gonna be able to hit them out, not being able to get vengeance. That bomb not gonna be able to find much besides break the immortality yet. As Del Concept, the dominant DPS, is gonna be shutting down the rest of the backline, and it looks like Remnants just have an easy say when it comes to who gets control over the point.
Yeah, Zatina just isn't at the level that Asho is on this Doomfist in particular. You know, was doing well on the jump grab, but this Doomfist battle has definitely been in favor of the red team here.
Look at that, they're even just trying to barely touch it. The Mortar is going to be really the last person to try to touch it until the Doomfist comes in, immediately slammed by Asdo. The D.Va just trying to come back, saying a little hi, going to be saying a little goodbye, as we're seeing Remnants take control over the map, and they're going to be taking the lead in this series as they win Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and that one was much more one-sided than Control Center was. You know, Lotus still having their moments, but they just need, I keep saying, they just need to pick up the pace. They just need to play a little bit faster. Because right now, the speed that Reminiscence is coming out with is just too much for them. The ults are coming out quick. The abilities coming out quick. This Doomfist is coming out super fast on them.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I feel like when you set that pace, especially after you switch up your compositions, even a tiny bit, you need to be playing as fast as possible. You need to be running in, and you need to make sure that Lotus, Remnants doesn't have an opportunity to kind of set up and play around. We saw Asdo and Concept taking those flanks, taking those angles, being able to shut them down, and Blood Hungry is just not pressing S. I see this man just run in, just start hitting that W key.
No fear, absolutely no fear in Blood Hungry. And I don't know if that's just an innate alpha Chad thing that they got going on, or if it's just belief in Lucy and Seraph to keep them alive while they're going in. Because honestly, this support duo coming from Reminiscence has just done everything they can to enable this just speed Reinhardt, almost bumper-esque, I would say,
I
coming out of Blood
agree.
Hungry. And I mean that in the best way. I don't mean that in the bumper feeding, no. Blood Hungry is going in with a mission and is accomplishing that mission in the bloodiest way possible.
Yeah, I feel like you still had a good terminology when it comes to Bumper, because I feel like while yes, Bumper threw, when they were so in sync with their support line, they were able to get peeled, they were able to be fine, and I feel like when going on to our next map, Volskaya Industries, that's going to matter the most. It's a 2CP map, it's assault, and that can be really hard if you're playing at a not fast pace and you're not in sync with your supports.
Yeah, what I want to see here from Lotus is set up on that high ground. Don't even try to take that fight in the choke because Blood Hungry is just going to rush through you. So set up, either some sort of dive or set up some sort of 3-3 spam split on that high ground. Because if you try to stand toe-to-toe with Blood Hungry right now on today, it's not going to work for you. This dude is just out of control and will just run you over and won't even care. Won't even look back and say sorry. It's just going to rush the point and it's just going to be like, hey, this is mine now. Deal with it.
I definitely agree. And before we get into talking about a bit Volskaya, I do want to let you know that Tranquility community, we're still raising money for Rain. So if you are interested, they are one of the largest anti-sexual violence organizations. You could donate. Just type !donate in the chat. Should give you a link. And we thank you so much. All of it is very important and we care a lot. But going back into the game, I don't really know what to say about Volskaya. I feel it's one of those maps that's I don't have a set metaphor. I can't say it's popular with this comp or this. It's either double shield, double bubble. That's how people like to run it.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different ways that you can run this. You can see some dive out of both the attackers or the defenders because the defenders can set up on that high ground and just collapse down in on you. You can see the occasional spam poke comp coming up because again you're on that high ground. The only thing you don't really see is kind of a brawl defense. You can still run Brawl and Attack, although it's not as strong. Like you said, Double Bubble, Double Shield tends to be the prevailing comps on this map. So I would love to see probably a Double Shield coming out of Lotus here, just to give them that extra chance, because you're not going to see the Symmetra, at least, unless Concept's got some wild strategies that are going to come out here. I believe, but I believe in it.
I believe the Symmetra could work if you're just crazy enough, specifically since of the reasons that, like, there are so many high grounds and so many available places to TP that if you just have such a big forehead in your brain, just, inside of it for once, then you're going to be able to get a lot of value when it comes to it. So when these teams want to push, I was going to say it's a bit unoften that we see Brawl be played. And that's because I don't feel Brawl is very good, but I'm more interested with Remnant's Cup. That is so good when it comes to playing on attack.
Yeah, so what we're gonna see here is kind of a hybrid dive with some follow-up behind it. So what's gonna happen is probably Blood Hungry and Concept are gonna dive in on a target. Blood Hungry is gonna slam them up into the air. Concept's gonna do some damage, and then look for Asda on the Ash to just dink away and finish them off. Or you can even do the reverse. You can throw in a Dynamite with the Ash, get, 2 or 3 man Dynamite, and then have the Ball Tracer follow. So there's multiple ways to run this comp. So Lotus gonna have to be prepared. Pineapple Bro, the lamp coming out of Baptiste is gonna have to be perfectly timed.
Oh, little fun fact, I did see their sister team play this. However, look at this, Lotus taking the initiative. They want to play first, they want to play fast. Maybe they did a bit of scouting on the sister team, and yet they're still going to be able to touch point and deny that first hit. That's absolutely amazing. They've stopped the team from being able to push in, and they even find out Lucy. So now the Pharah is not going to be able to push in for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, that Pharah's going to go bye-bye, going to go off the coast. Try to get back to the rest of the team. And that's what I talk about when I said play fast. That's exactly what they did. They took the fight to this, this kind of 2-man core that Reminiscence has, and they just said, hey, we can brawl this out, check this out. And just took them out, and like you said, getting back to point before giving up the kick, absolutely key there.
It's absolutely massive, and yet the dive is still commencing. We are going to be seeing Lotus split, and unfortunately, it's going to be Pineapple open, and yet we are going to be seeing the Zenyatta from Reminiscence get picked off. Oxygen just being able to start clicking into the bodies. Reaper is a strong hero for that purpose, and yet we do see Remnants not wanting to give up this fight just yet. They're being able to put in a lot of pokes, split up those shield damage, and be able to put in so much. That concept now builds up the pulse bomb, going to be able to grab the mini, and while they wait for Pineapple to return, Asto just has free sights to shoot down hard on them. Even the Doomfist just trying to get a nice head click onto them, but it looks like they are going to be a tiny bit stuck. Gonna have to escape when it comes to this, yet they're still taking out of position. Concept has the biggest hold right now, and yet they managed to find out Lucy. Asto's not going to be having enough heal, but yet still chooses to commence that barrage. Gonna be punched out because the DM was bailing him out, and yet they're gonna be using that immortality inside the small room. Not even a tick first, and yet the pulse bomb gets picked up. It's a long fight, and yet they're still trying to commence it out.
Is this an anti-air Doomfist that we're seeing? He's tracking the Pharaoh because obviously the Reaper can't, shoot into the sky very well. So he's uppercutting into the air and then punching this Pharaoh around the map, not letting this Pharaoh get set up where they want to, even though, and it completely negates this Mercy Pocket, because if you get punched into the wall as Doomfist, it's similar to a Reinhardt charge where it's that massive spike damage. You can't heal through it.
Wait a second. I recognize this player. I played for Quaka Queens throughout one of their weeks as a ringer, and this insane player is such a dominant Doomfist, knows these rollouts, knows how to do it. It's honestly kind of impressive. Look at that, even while they got slept, they're able to slam out, they're getting positioned, and they're getting ready to find somebody. So now I'm even more scared of Lotus's competition, just because I understand how their Doomfist work. Yet those mines are going to deny them from touching the point. Oxygen is getting set up for the death blast, so they want to dive up that high ground, looking to pop it. They managed to find out Concept is going to be doing it inside a small room, managed to find out Lucy, and that Diva's just going to be the rest of ult charge for them, just to build it back up.
You notice how Toxygen made sure that the Diva was on the other side of the wall, even though the Diva was there ready to DM. They just weren't in the proper position, and Toxygen took advantage of that. However, a lot of ults, 5 ultimates invested by Lotus there for the fight. Going into this last fight, they're only going to have the window, whereas, you're going to have Barrage, you're probably going to get Diva Bomb, and they might get a nano boost from Seraph if they can do enough healing here. Concept though, looking for the kill here, looking for the quick one shot.
But still not the most optimal situation that you really want to be in. Look at that. The Doomfist just goes in, shuts down Asdo. Luckily, they are going to be able to pick it out. And yet, Oxygen is there camping the body so they can't res. Lucy's going to be found out. They don't want to engage this without their Far Mercy putting in that first damage. So they're going to be having to sacrifice their players. There is no form of a reset, and now they have the panic touch.
And that's so important, camping that body, not letting Lucy get that res, and turn it from a 5v6 into a 6v5 for Reminiscence here. And now the window through the barrage, pumping out all of these heals and the damage.
Now look at that, they're having the trade spots to touch. Asdo able to get the barrage up. The Immortality is going to be able to heal for everyone else, while YB's going to be able to take Asdo out. They're just cleaning up the point. There is just nothing they can do. And while we were skeptical on the brawl, we've been proven wrong as they managed to full hold right onto Vizcaya.
I will admit, I was very skeptical about the defensive Doomfist, how it was going to work in this very close range composition, and it turns out it went after the Pharah. Okay, just casually anti-air taking on the 2v1, getting occasional help from the Baptiste, from the Lucio, and just now we see why Lotus picked this map. All they need here is 33.3% on this first point, and the series is even.
Honestly, I'm going to be waking up in a cold sweat. I'm remembering all the times that the Doomfist, the Zant was just able to just not only take out the Pharah, but back when I played for Quack Queens for the Ringer match, just took me out as the flex support, and it's scary. So we're going to be seeing them try out a different composition, possibly, which is dive, which is something more ordinary than we see. While we see on the opposite side, Remnants want to run out with the kind of meta that the Overwatch League feminized. I don't really have a terminology for it.
Yeah, you've got this pharmacy, and then you've got this kind of pseudo bunker coming on. So it's a very strange composition. But their sister team, Flashbacks, they ran through the Harmony tier with a very similar composition. So this just may be something that the org likes to run and is trying to get forward. But I'm really interested into this 6-man dive. It's all going to be on Pineapple Bro, building up that nano boost as fast as they can, and then getting it onto this Winston.
you have a lot of respect for running the Brigida, but I feel the Brigida is not going to work as well as they're hoping to, solely because of the Pharah in the air. They're not going to be having the Lucio to speed around the Ana, so you're trading up kind of stability for mobility. And look at that oxygen, the main tank, they're going to be taking up so much damage that even the Diva for the side of Remnants is just not going to feel afraid. Just walk into them, take them out, slowing down their push immensely.
Yeah, like you said, this Brigida not going to get the value she normally would. Once she uses her repair packs, there's nobody for her to really swing on to get that extra, healing out. So I would love to see why we go back and swap to something else. Like you said, maybe Lucio, or maybe even like a Mercy to just pocket this engine while he's on the blade, so that way you could Nano Monkey and then also, Blue Beam boost this blade and kind of double down.
So much. They already wasted a lot of resources, yet they're able to build up that nano boost really quickly into the fight. But while they go in, their main tank's going to be booped off of the map. We're going to be seeing Grammarays being able to take out Lucy, and as they're not having that Mercy, is going to be found out. That looked like a scary fight, especially with that monkey so early, and yet they're able to take out one pick into many and finish this out, because that BB bomb is not going to be able to find a 6K.
No, it is certainly not. And just like that, they get back onto the point, and Lotus evens it up just like that.
My goodness, they're able to bring that back in a similarly dominant fashion to what we saw Remnants do, and I think we found each team's own form of bread and butter and what they like to do. Interestingly enough, we criticized Remnants for, Lotus for not having a fast tempo, and yet when it came to their defense, that slow tempo helped, helped them, and yet on attack, they were able to just clean it out by just hard inting in there, and honestly, you gotta love that adaptiveness.
Yeah. You really love to see the team that can run multiple compositions, because that tells you no matter what map you take them to, you have to be worried that, man, they can run dive on this map, they can run brawl on this map. We don't have a map that we feel comfortable taking them to, and that can really get in your head as a player and as a coach, because now your confidence is just like, well, what do we do? I don't know.
Definitely agree. It's a fair match to go far. Can't say it's one-sided just yet. And before we go to half break, I do want to give you a tiny reminder about the money raising for Rain. It's a very important movement, and we just want to make sure that you are aware with it. Remember, !donate. It's for Rain, which are an anti-sexual sexual violence organization. But the match is far from over, so make sure you tune back in as we go to a bit of a halftime to get things set up and to see if Lotus or Remnants can take the lead in the series.
took the step? Was I moved by love? Was I moved by faith? The truth has a way of finding the light or changing in time. Did I fall in love? Did I make it up inside my mind?
You don't need an invitation. I already know what you're saying. I love a little conversations, and I don't want you to go changing. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. You just feel it all too. Cause girl, you're comfortable, let's go. Feels so good just when I roll through. And I just think it's so crazy what you do to me. Girl, you're the baddest thing, you know that. And I really need you to show it. So turn around, let me get you on the cold. Situation. We don't spend time hesitating. And I wouldn't say we're crazy in love. I would just say we're crazy enough. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. You just feel it all too. Cause girl, you're comfortable, let's go. Feel so good just when I roll through. And I just think it's so crazy what you do to me. Girl, you're the baddest thing, you know that. And I really need you to show it. So turn around, let me get you on the cold. Baby, I'm with you if you gon' be down. Cause girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable. Girl, you're just so comfortable.
Really hope you didn't miss us so soon because we are back here continuing the match Lotus versus Remnants right now evenly tied 1-1, yet both sharing dominant maps. I am still joined by my good caster. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Went and got a great snack during halftime, so I'm ready to go. Got some water in me. My throat's good to go. Ready to get this, I'm ready to see extra maps tonight, man, because honestly, this matchup deserves it.
Oh, both of these teams, I really don't expect it to not go to a map 5 unless somehow momentum just swings into two different sides. And before we really get to talk about that, I want to say that we're going next on to Blizzard World. And this map, I feel this is very momentum based. When you want to play this, that first point can be very painful to try to break through, and continuously going forward the second point has a very unfair spawn point for the attacking side, and the defending side could be very hit or miss. So who do you feel may or may not have the advantage or kind of the momentum going into this?
No, I feel like Lotus coming off of that big win. Hopefully, the halftime didn't stymie that momentum too much, because that can kind of kill you when you get a big map win and you just want to roll into the next map, and then it's like, hey, here's a 10-minute break, sit down, cool off. So I hope that they come out with the same speed that we saw from that very initial defense where they were kind of hiding behind. So I want to see something like that. And I don't know what to expect out of Reminiscence here, because we saw them try some different compositions on Volskaya there, and they didn't work. So are we gonna see that Farah composition? Are we gonna try to hear on Blizzard World as well? I don't know. Honestly, I don't really want to see. I'd love for them to see something more brawly like what we saw on Lijiang Tower on map 1.
I feel you off. Some people like to run the FAR because it's a very easy competition, especially because hit scans are not as good as they used to be. So having that anti-air can be difficult at times. But I feel Asdo has the capability and the talent to be able to play other things besides the Pharah, and maybe at times that Pharah held them back the way they want to play. So when going out, I like to see the brawl that they're wanting to do, and yet we have possibly two different variations that I feel change the way you want to play.
Yeah, and we see that same composition coming out from Lotus here, this Rhine, Doomfist, Reaper brawl composition, because they're running the Baptiste Lucio. So they kind of want to brawl at you, but then there's a lot of hidden mobility in this composition. Reaper has that Wraith form and teleport to get around to different angles. So it's not like the same brawl that we're going to see here out of Reminiscence, the quote-unquote standard brawl. This McFlurry brawl, so to speak, with the Blizzard from the May and the McCree. So go ahead.
No, I thought you were done. I was just going to say, so going out, it's really about how they're going to be able to counter out these Doomfist, but yet kind of play aggressive against this Reaper, right?
Yeah, it's going to be on concept, getting the flashbang when this Doomfist engages, but Zach has been doing a great job of not early engaging. He engages with the rest of his team so that it gives them look at the fight's happening, and now he's going in.
Just being so patient, being able to take out the Baptiste, that's pretty much a clear sign to really end the fight for the side of Remnants. They have nobody who can really sit there and help them besides from Lucy, but Lucy's going to be found out eventually, and now half of them are stuck inside the backline and going to just need to die to be able to reset.
Good job from Azure at canceling that block as fast. He went into the block, he's like, oh, gotta survive, and then he's like, oh, well, fight's done. So instantly dies fast to his team, doesn't really stagger themselves out too much. But yeah, Zetino on this Doomfist is just doing such a good job with the timing of their engagements that it's really giving Reminiscence so many different looks that they have to look in multiple directions at once.
Yep, and it's going to be kind of increasingly hard when they're wanting to walk down these very narrow pathways that not only gives the Doomfist able to just set up, jump down, and look at that, we see Concept just preparing, so scared, seeing flashes of them inside their head, and now this is where the engagement happens. They're being able to block them off, and yet Blood Hungry still could be the first one found out. The Mortality was not out fast enough, and yet they're stuck, just kind of staggered all around, not being able to play where they want to.
Yeah, and this May just not getting the value, although as they're playing very well, the composition from Lotus here just isn't conducive to being walled off in the net. If you wall off Doomfist, he's got mobility. You wall up Reaper, he's got great form. You wall up Diva, she flies away. You wall up Reinhardt, he's just got enough health to survive it. And both of the supports have mobility as well to get out of it. So it's a very tough, it's not just, hey, put the wall up and let's go in and split them off. You know, it's a very different type of Mei that you have to play against this type of composition.
Yeah, so now I think this kind of gives them a bit more of an advantage. As those Blizzard, that can be something attestable to game winning because of the fact it slows everybody down, but yet we saw Graham being able to shut it down. Both windows are going to be opening up this fight, but that Blizzard's not even yet. The Diva Bomb's going out to counter, but the defense is going to be the one to shut it down. Not only taking out two, but the support sliding back into the back line is going to be finishing them off. And why is nobody remove the privilege to play at this elo? Because you just cannot be this insane.
Goodness gracious, the team is on this Doomfist just hammering down on them left and right. And okay, so now they switch onto the Sombra. I love this swap. This is really gonna give the Doomfist something else to think about. Now he, I want to see Asdo kind of play back a little bit, playing that back line. Wait for this Doomfist. Don't even bother worrying about that front line.
But look at this, Asdo's playing patient. That's the way you want to do it. Look out for that punch to be countering to dive, and the sound barrier there to protect him out. And that's the worst part. Unfortunately, that does leave options to be able to use the Death Blossom, yet they don't find much. That bomb coming down, looking able to find a pineapple. That's going to be massive. Now they get to be able to move in, finding out the Reinhardt, the Lucio, the Reaper, and Dukes aren't going to be able to clutch this one out. Sure, you got a 6K before, but there's 6 people on 1 now.
Yeah, and even though this Doomfist goes down, he doesn't die without taking at least one with him. You'll love to see it. And I loved it, but like I said, I love its composition change because now you have Concept going toe-to-toe with Toxygen, so that, you know, that kind of takes away that advantage. And then the Sombra, while she may not be able to, you know, 1v1 this Doomfist so much if he gets, you know, ahead of her, but even just hacking him mid-fight can just completely negate any sort of extra value that he's going to get aside from his engagement.
Yeah, so when they want to be moving, oh no, that's not a good anti because of the fact that it's not good for Lotus, just to be more specific. Look at them wanting to push in. They want to take this advantage early. The Nano being able to hit out Bloodhunter, and they're pushing in. They're being able to find out the Lucio, and now that Primal Rage is going to be helping, trying to uneven things. Oxygen then find out Concept, yet being able to find out the Doomfist, which is kind of their big center point of playing out this competition. So everyone else is just spotters so they ape inside their backline.
Yeah. And what this boils down to really is who gets to dictate the fight. In the previous compositions, Lotus was dictating where and when the fights took place. They were able to use the Lucio to speed Reinhardt around and then get their Doomfist in position, and then they were able to dictate when the fight starts. But now with this Sombra Winston combination that Reminiscence is running, they're in charge of when and where the fight takes place. And that is such a value that people don't realize.
How do you take that fight when you immediately get EMP'd? Sure, the sound barrier is able to be there for you. The Doomfist looking to slam, but it looks like Concept isn't going to be able to hit too much with Death Blossom. It does manage to block people out, and Zat's not being able to follow up on it, kind of slams, gets yourself down, and now they're all stuck inside this small room. The EMP may have not been massive when it came to the follow-up, but it did allow them to be able to control the point. Look at that second capture already.
Yep, and again, we see a Diva here. Quickly slain. I think teams are starting to get nervous about what Baby Diva can do. But yeah, like I said, this composition, I cannot say enough about just the mind games that having a Sombra plays. You know, is she gonna hack our Doomfist on the edge? Is she gonna hack, you know, our shield? And now they have just free reign, you know, to come in on us. There's so many different targets. They're gonna hack our Baptiste and take away our lamp. You know, just those mind games really can slow you down.
So when they want to move in, it's going to be a little bit harder. It's only because now they're a bit prepared. They switch over to the McCree. They do get the hack onto Pineapple. That's going to deny any form of immortality, protecting them while Bloodhound is being able to build up that primal range. Pops, it's going inside the backline, just looking to find someone isolated. And yet most of that damage is being LOS out. We are going to be using the mech, but the Oxygen has the high noon. They're trying to force out the monkey, and they're going to do it, man, to get out Bloodhunter. It's a bit funny, but yet they trade out in their main, so the fight's still somewhat even. Asdo builds up an EMP incredibly fast, managing to get out these 2 picks, and it's kind of a slow steam push as they're being able to find these picks.
Yeah, that's 3 right there for the Sombra. And like I said, a very, very quick EMP, and now not having to worry about the sound barrier to just let this fly.
Yeah, but luckily they've come back for the stagger. But the Chris dies so early, the bomb's there inside the bubble. Concept is able to get a 2K, and that Coalescence is there to kind of straight cheese the rest of everybody, as he's going to be silky smooth, and nobody on the side of Lotus are going to be able to adapt against that Sombra Shadow Dive variant.
Yeah, the EMP Death Blossom combo, just so much damage, and you have to touch the cart. You know, the cart is about to complete the map, although, importantly, under 1 minute. Just barely, but it's under a minute, which means as long as Lotus finishes the map, they will get a second push. Albeit they might have to add some time under Reminiscence time, but they will at least get a second push if they complete.
Yep, I see what you mean. Having a time bank, I feel, is one of the most important things in Overwatch, that we always worry more about capping the points than having that time bank. And obviously it's an understandable reasoning, because the objective of the game is to capture those points. But if you're going to capture these points and have a 0 time bank, then you're setting yourself up for failure at moments. I feel like you should always be playing not only to improve your own mechanics, but to improve your time bank and being able to beat these teams fast enough. And look at that, both of these teams want to be running out on a variant of dive. But I don't know how well they'll be doing against that Sombra, as it was just doing absolutely insane.
Yeah, that Sombra was just insanely oppressive against what Lotus was running. And they're going to try here. They're going to run the Genji without the Ana, so there's not going to be a Nano Blade. I'm curious as to why they think that this Moira is better, who it's going to... I don't know who you're going to get value off of on this Moira, because she really wants to have a kind of death volley composition where she's getting maximum value out of her heal spray. And you're just not going to get that with this hump. It's so far to put out. And look at this! As they're going for the early kill on the Lucio.
Disrespectful how Azza was almost able to kind of win that 1v1, but the peel wasn't even there because they kind of respected it for a little bit. But yet they are going to be able to move on. We do like this high ground position taken, yet we're going to be seeing Dante be able to deny it, but Constance's able to trade out, but Azzo gets found by the D.Va. You kind of need that Sombra to be there because they have nobody to hack, and they have nobody to deny pushing in, so Concept has a harder time just being able to push in. That Sleep may be able to slow them down, but Genji's going to be the one going out in return. Same with the Monkey, and it looks like Lotus just aren't going to be having the room to play the game that they want to do.
No, like I said, they got the Sombra out, but trying to run a Winston into a Reaper is not a very fun day for Euphoria. But a lot of ult charge built up on the side of Euphoria, but Blood Hungry right there with them.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, more of like, what is the Genji's plan in this type of composition? You don't have the ability to get nano-bladed because you ran with the Moira. So while your Monkey is trying to dive onto this high ground and you're looking for those picks, you're still dangerously low, being picked on every once in a while. The Pulse Bomb not being able to find much, but forces them off the high ground, while the Coalescence is allowing the rest of Remnants to be able to start pushing in. They get a lot of damage, so Pineapple's going to be trying to mirror and managing to find out Concept. They have this blade now if they choose to pop it, but that D.Va Mom's going to be in the air. They've managed to find out the Moira's going to be LOSing, and the hack goes on to the Genji. So at least the Genji isn't forced to use that blade, doesn't feel pressured to, but might lose out this 1v1 does, and
no.
Blood Hunter, though, is not going to be feeling proud too much with LOS from the healing, and that's going to be giving Lotus the opportunity to start capping some ticks.
Like you said, though, I am curious as to how this blade is going to get used, because I can tell you a very sad thing to see is when you're Genji, a lot of Genjis, they'll dash up or they'll dash in. It kind of is a giant red flag of, hey, here I am. And if Azra's paying any sort of attention, can get the hack or get the EMP off. Okay, cool, you've got your blade, you're running around. You can't dash. You can't deflect. You're just sitting there as a melee-only Genji now without any of your mobility.
Like walking outside and getting a hit in the face directly. That sound barrier was perfectly placed to where it was a bit protected out of the EMP, and yet Pineapple's going to be dying from it. But this is where the blade comes in, the opportunity to see a pop-off moment. And while it finds two, it's looking for the third. The hack finishes out in the end. While it wasn't what you wanted, it was the one that you needed. Being able to keep room in for this fight, able to find out Concept, and there's just nobody stopping the rest of Lotus from starting to push his payload now.
And I want to give a huge shout out actually to Ivy there. She did a very excellent job, knowing that they had the EMP, so... but going out there, making sure that they stayed hidden from the EMP, you know, and then coming out with the beat, keeping everybody alive as long as possible during that fight, allowing that blade to get off and turn the tail of that fight.
My my goodness, having to see them try to recontest this or really go inside the fight. I'm wondering how Remnants want to be able to push. They do manage to find out Pineapple, which gives them less hit on the side of Lotus, and yet they still choose to invest that EMP. They really want to secure it. They don't want to give them a chance of a comeback as they finish off the rest of the side of Lotus.
We need to get a stats department in here on Asdo ASAP because I feel like that EMP was built in less than a minute or something. This Sombra is just incredible at controlling the pace of this fight, controlling the entire battlefield through these hacks, through these EMP, through these backline dives onto YB and Pineapple Bro here.
Being able to feed it off because of the Diva, we're going to be seeing them throwing it sky high, being able to take out Genji very early in this fight. Same with YB. It's going to be a little unfortunate. That Coalescence is there just trying to heal up and keep the team up, but there's just not enough you can do because you're not being able to pump in these damage. So we see Grammarly Pineapple being going down and just no one else really able to escape.
Yeah, already up above 50%, and they just used it, one fight ago. And now, I guarantee you, they're probably going to be trying to, spawn camp, do a little something here, get some extra pressure, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the start of this next fight, they're sitting around 70-75%.
Definitely agree. So Concept, they're going to be looking to try to get a pulse bomb out. The Genji is coming up on that blade, looking for a nice opportunity. Is able to finish out Concept very early. Now they have a moment to move in, popping up that blade, going for the first. They're able to make that space as the rest of them. While we do see Blood Hungry just try to do anything, it's not going to be able to find much, even as though it's just focused down that Genji. They're going to be able to catch second point with a good amount of timing to try to take this out. But I feel like the Genji's not getting as much value as they wanted.
No, it is getting some value, but yeah, I don't think it's getting the insane value that you usually expect a Genji, to pop off with when you're like, hey, okay, we're really relying on you to get this, to get this big blade here and there. But at least they're not investing a full, nano blade in. If you were getting these results with like a nano blade, then you would definitely be very, very upset. But getting it on your standard blade, oh Gamma, you're so close. Oh, gets the bomb on.
Just barely mentioned that the bomb out is going to be able to demech the opposite Diva, and that EMP is built so they can play it the way they want to. Maybe is going to be found out with the pulse bomb as Asdo's just waiting for them to start pushing in. It is going to be canceled out of the hack, but is looking for that monkey really badly. But now this is a set of half of the team are low. Do you choose to commit it or do you choose to finish this out? Pineapple does have the Coalescence. It's getting ready to pop it out, but waiting for the full team to be there. But that's a 6-man, even finding out the Lucio. So you're not going to be able to EMP that. Oxygen does go down, but traded out was Blood Hungry. Coalescence coming in to kind of get too late because of that hack. In fact, they're going to be losing out not only their monkey, but their Genji. And it's just really an unfortunate situation that they're not going to have too much room to push back in. And yet they're finding these picks, they're finding the opportunities, and they're being able to shut them down. Sure, Grammarly's gone, but they've got still 3 people on the point, and they want to fight it. However, that Moira being LOS is going to be the call out that the fight is now over, and it's truly just a stagger moment.
Zatino and Toxin, the DPS disagree with that, but a big bomb put in all of that.
My goodness, I
kill.
Definitely. It gets the baby. That's absolutely massive because now there's nobody to remake or try to kill you with it. And look at this. Has the blade. They have opportunities. I'm loving how they're consistently going into these fights and they're not giving it up.
And YB has the beat with no EMP, so they don't have... What? The bubble! The bubble lost it!
That's absolutely insane! The counter sound barrier from Lucy is going to be able to hit the majority of the team besides Blood Hungry. Couldn't build up that primal so a millisecond too fast. Now they're looking for those ult. It looks like the monkey's going to be able to find much. Same with the Doom, same with the Genji. However, that EMP is going to be coming out a little too late when the rest of the team is already gone. And while they have the picks, they need to contest. Having that time bank less than Remnants already, but that bomb's going to be looking for much. They're able to take out Grammarly's, but Asdo's going to come in, has the gun, chop, it's going to be able to take you out, and the monkey's just having to retreat for one last fighting opportunity.
And again, that's what happens on these hybrid and these expert maps. The very last point, that third point, kind of gets treated like a second point on 2CP because the defender's spawn is so close. You have to have a clean fight win if you really want to cap out. Otherwise, they're just going to keep stalling in that card.
Definitely agree. But they really only have a primal rage to try to work off comparably as those going to be switching over to the Doom. It's going to not have to worry about building out an EMP. It's really how they want to play this and how these picks go. We're going to be seeing that primal rage come out early. They're just looking to take something out. Able to find out the Moira. That's absolutely massive. Last healing. Pulse Bomb does go out, is moving the ult hit the floor, as Azzo's able to trick out YB, going to be trading in that Genji, looking to be able to blade, yet Oxygen's going to be having the Pulse Bomb first, pop it down, man, to find out Blood Hunger can trade it one. Sure, this is an overtime, but they are still going to be able to look to capture this point, figuring out that Mora just last, and having a minute to try to take it out. We're still in a scenario where any team could take it.
If any team could take it, or we could see a potential draw here and end up on 6 maps tonight, folks. It could happen. All I'm saying, it could happen. And honestly, I would love for this series to go 6 maps, because these teams need as many. I would love for this to go 9, 12, however many maps they want to play tonight, because these two teams are just slugging it out. This is like a Rocky movie for those of you old enough to get that reference.
All right, I'm gonna be real with you, okay? 9 maps, all right? I can go with 7. I can go with 8. But 9 maps, that's a heart attack just waiting to happen, because I cannot handle that much intensity from these players. They're going back and forth, and there are so many surprising opportunities that I think by that point you'll have to send me to the ER. I just cannot withstand it. So when it comes to this defense, I need you to explain to me and slow it down, because I gotta say, my heart's already at the aching point. How does this brawl really change things up?
So what this is gonna happen is if I'm coaching this, I'm telling them to stay as tightly compact as possible and let Genji kind of go off on his own. And what that can do is that'll draw the Sombra to this Genji, but then you take the 5v5 and now they don't have the Sombra. You don't have to worry about getting half a mid-fight. You just have to let Zatino do his thing. And then you just rush over the rest of this core with your Reinhardt core.
Fair enough, and I think it's a very solid plan. It's all up to Azzo to slow them down when the rest of the team takes them out. They do manage to find out the Lucio, so that rotation is not going to be as fast as they want it to. Looks like YB's going to be the first one picked out similarly enough, while the Monkey's jumping in. There's no hack being able to be found out, while we find Concept being picked similarly with Bloodhunt. But this Genji does get traded. The board is still alive, yet Azzo is going to be correcting me, just saying not enough time. Really only the one DPS and 2 tanks still there trying to even this fight up. They have less than 20 seconds, so they're not going to be able to really retreat. They have to try to win it out, or just a staggered stall. Releasing Oxygen to go out while Euphoric is trying to make something happen, but it's not going to be doing much. The hack is so powerful. No tick is going to be found out, as they're just continuously being shut down. And honestly, Reminiscence is looking like they want to full hold this.
Yeah, and it looks like they are. Even though they had a slight spawn advantage from Lotus, they weren't able to utilize it. They just kind of kept taking this prolonged fight instead of resetting after that initial kill. Oh, and a beat here is just going to give them sustainable.
Yeah, you know, it's understandable. It's kind of the end of the fight. You have room to do it, and eventually you're going to be taking out the Reinhardt. Nothing's really going to stop you, and they have just full control at this point. Remnant is going to be able to slow this down. We are in a drawable situation, as there was no tick gotten for the side of Lotus, but that's a minute and 57 seconds, and I feel like these teams are kind of equal enough to where, similar to what we saw in Volskaya, I think it's kind of hard to draw.
Yeah, I'm with you. These two teams are definitely, you know, going at each other as hard as they can, as fast as they can. And to hold off that kind of tempo for 2 minutes is going to be a very, very tough challenge for Lotus here, especially if Asdo comes back out on this Sombra that we've just seen wreak havoc across this Lotus comp. And yeah, there it is, right back on that Sombra. You know, I don't know if they want to take a time. They got to take a timeout or something. They got to get with their coaches and they got to discuss how to strategize against this Sombra, because right now their in-map changes just aren't cutting it.
I feel like this Sombra was kind of a kryptonite scenario for them. I think they definitely know how to play around it, but they're not in the mindset to. I think they really want to try to run that Doomfist, be able to get away with it, but the Sombra denies so much of how they want to play their composition and how they're trying to engage into these fights, that Asdo is truly a secret MVP of this, besides from the fact of how great the rest of their team is doing. So when they want to hold this, they've got to do their best to try to go against what Lotus want to do and stop them from being able to control the map.
Yeah, but again, that map control, very strong Sombra suit. You know, with this EMP, with its hacks, you're able to control where people go, how they get there, and just, you know, it's going to be on Gamma Ray to really get a solid, you know, try to eat out that Sombra. Oh, never mind.
Well, I understand the kind of momentum, the status of just press W, don't be scared of them, but you just walked into their entire team and they weren't expecting it. They were caught a little off guard.
I think they knew, they say, hey, you're on the Sombra, you're waiting for your Sombra to get in position, we're not gonna let you.
So now at least Asdo still set up so they have an opportunity, but now we know the way that Lotus want to play. And I'm a little scared, because that is a very efficient way of going against any form of dive while Asdo's getting set up to prepare. Grammar is still looking to try to poke them out from the invis as they dive to the backline. They're looking for the Genji out first, or just really anyone. And it looks like they're going to be stuck, yet Concept's going to be the one traded in. It's still a 5v5, but with that Tracer and Genji are still a fairly even trade. They look for that Sombra not being able to roll out. They're able to translocate the Immortality, managing to save out Oxygen while the bubble denies the healing. Blood Hungry is going to be the one picked out, and the hack goes on to Oxygen. They're still looking for an opportunity. That Death Blossom is going to be able to build up, but with the Moira gone, save. With Asdo, they don't have room. It's really going to be one last fight to try to make it a break.
Yeah, and right now, I can hear NPC right now cheering for this draw. He loves to see it. We all love to see it. Let's be honest. We want to see as many matches as possible. No, I'm kidding. We don't. But this is going to be a very, very close fight here. And Sombra's very, very close to that EMP. If they can just stall out enough and get Asdo that extra 15%, that can change this entire fight.
They're able to get this overtime, popping out the window, the Immortality, the EMP able to hit 3. More specifically, YB, who was going to be having the Sound Barrier. Find out, but now there's no way to get that bomb going out. They're able to hit out the multiple bolts, just trying to end this. That charge is not going to be able to get value. The Colt isn't being able to shut them down, and that blade is nothing more than a dull knife. Because in the end, we're going to be seeing Remnants being able to pick up the Remnants and bring this into a victory as they take the lead 2-1.
Yeah, like we said, that Sombra just in the end was just too much. And they stalled out as much as they could. Kudos to Lotus. This map was literally a sliver away from being one. If they could have scouted out that Sombra or got that Sombra before she got the EMP, they probably win that last fight and they draw a big. Instead, Asdo able to hide, able to build up that extra percentage and get a massive EMP to win that last fight. Look at 26 enemies EMP'd. Not hacked, 26 EMP'd.
Didn't even know that was like completely possible, but it's highly impressive, and it gives I think you got to give credit to Asdo for having that efficiency, because that's the reason why you play Sombra, not only for the hacks, but solely for that EMP, being able to shut down the entirety of Team Push. But this is an out for Lotus. I did say it was really hard because these teams are fairly even to draw this, but Lotus were still able to bring that so close. When going into Junkertown, that's a specifically sniper map. I feel like you don't get access to the Doomfist, but Lotus still have an opportunity to not only full hold this, but to bring it back absolutely.
Yeah, and something we haven't seen from either team tonight is a Widow or a Hanzo. So how are they going to fare on this traditionally sniper-heavy map? Are they going to kind of have this non-sniper truce and keep the comps that they've been running? In which case, I don't know how either of those compositions work on. I've never seen either of those compositions really, battle it out on Junkertown. But I would say, given how open it is, I would definitely give an advantage to Lotus in this Doomfist, because even though it's fairly open, there are quite a bit of walls and terrain for a car here and there, the water tower to punch enemies against. So there is enough cover for the Doomfist to get work if he's not being hounded by a Widow or a Hanzo or a Sombra as well. Wide open spaces, very hard to hide as Sombra. A lot of, if you have something like the Diva that's just throwing flak out here and there, very easy to all it needs is one of those pellets has to hit, and all of a sudden Sombra's decloaked.
Fair enough, but I do have to say, I feel like a lot of people really get into Overwatch from seeing those kind of DPS clips, seeing those insane Widow shots. So if we got to see an opportunity of DPS versus DPS type of gameplay, I for one would be excited. And yet I feel Junkertown is, you want to run this specifically if it is a double shield variant. I feel dive can work, but really, why aren't you running a double shield in such an open map? You can block all the angles, you can deny so much value, but I was joking. You just got pranked because we're going to Rialto.
Oh, map change here over to Rialto. So now there's lots of places for Sombra to hide. Lots of places for her to get around to. Also, you do see an occasional fair on this map, and we know that they tried running that earlier, so they might be we might see fairs coming out on the side of Reminiscence. A lot of stuff for Doomfist to punch in, a lot of angles for Doomfist to come, a lot of hidden angles for Doomfist to come from on this map. You know, there's a lot of high buildings, a lot of towers, you know, windows that he can just pop out of, slam down, and then punch his way out, and all of a sudden you're one man down, and you're like, what, when, where, why, how, what?
Doomfist is like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. That's how I'd like to see it. You never expect where they come from, but they exist. The guns are there.
Which turtle is he though? Would you say?
Obviously, Raphael, the aggression
You think he's-
and the playstyle that they're wanting to do, it's the Doomfist. It's the Raphael.
I can get behind that. I can get behind. We know he's not Donatello. We know he's not the slow thinking. You know.
At least the way that Zat's playing, definitely a Raphael.
Yeah.
But honestly, I really like Rialto. It's one of those kind of equal maps. I don't hear people complain about it too much, and I feel that's a liberty because it's somewhat balanced. It's either you get full held on first point, you get held on second point just barely where the stairs are, or you get held on third point where the choke is. And that's fairly different. You know your opportunities and where your win condition is. And I feel like as long as you know how to play, you can always get that payload to the third point at the bare minimum. But yet we're seeing Lotus walk out on a Sigma Hog composition, and I'm no Masters player. I'll be real with you. I'm a filthy hardstuck plat. What is this though?
This is a pick blow 'em up comp. You got the hook, you got the Discord, and you got the Brigida here to shield bash them to keep them in place. So basically, you hook somebody in, you bash them, you flashbang them, and you blow them up. And that hook could, if this Bastion comes out, this hook could be super valuable.
You don't run out with the Bastion. Asdo is many things. Asdo's many things, but Asdo's not that.
Yeah, so I didn't think we were gonna say, oh, the hook on the Diva right away.
That's amazing, but how do I feel like the Brawl has such a good advantage. All they have to do is go up the steps, walk all over them, and their composition is meant to play split, yet they're so together.
Yeah, this is a very... I tell you what, once they get to the courtyard, I think we'll see this spike out more how they want to play. Because then you'll have those extra angles with Zach and this Hog and the straight from the side, and you'll really see it coming to its own.
Loving the way that they're playing. They're not allowing anyone from Remnants to take those angles. They not only be able to stun out Blood Hungry in the original fight, but they're able to hook these players. Asdo's not going to be able to stay alive. And even though that payload gets a sizable way to the point that they were going to capture, they're being able to build off that Transcendence, the rally. That was a pretty good hold.
Yeah. And an immediate swap from Asdo, recognizing that there's just too many angles that this enemy composition can hold. And that's why I said once this courtyard came up, you were going to see this Hog get on an angle. You can't really get a side angle coming from that initial over the bridge push. You know, the Reinhardt shield basically blocks everything. But as soon as they got into a slightly more open area, Euphoria got on that side angle, got some hooks in, got that pressure in, and this Lotus composition was just able to overwhelm them.
Speaking of overwhelmed, they're going to be losing concept really early. And that's not going to be winning them any form of team fight, but rather it's winning them in a fight of time bank. With UC Azzo switching over to the Reaper, just looking to take out that Hog for a little bit better, but they have ultimates built up. And like, that's going to be really hard for the entirety of Remnants to try to engage with.
Yeah, and Asdo having swapped has not only progressed via time on this Reaper, hasn't gotten any shots in, so it's at a very low percentage compared to everybody else.
It kind of sucks when not only your when your Hog break and Zenyatta go down, but Grammar's gonna be picked out. They just make a beautiful rotation. They deny the high ground and they force them into a small area together, making sure that their composition cannot be played.
Yeah, not quite the rotation I would have liked to see from most. I would have preferred them to actually drop them on high ground and just switch sides, take the offensive side on the payload, force Reminiscence to into that open area where your composition has such an advantage over there. Oh, big hook again on the defense.
Not too much of a worry if they're starting to invest their abilities, getting a massive slam that's going to deal major damage, and yet the Shatter is there, trying to even things out. Blood Hungry is looking for those picks, but before it, plus the Discord is just going to shut them down. It's an unlucky scenario scenario, and yet they still want to try to fight it. That bomb's out a little too far. The boost denying them to be able to kill. They're still wanting to contest this, yet they now back up. They realize what they're doing. Yeah, but Pineapple has the Transcendence, which is kind of a good play by because they don't have an Ana to deny that.
Yeah, this Transcendence is gonna be big. Pineapple, you have to make sure that you don't get taken out early and that you don't use it just to pressure. You have to use it to counter another ball. See, this is what I'm talking about. How they drop down and they kind of just take that quarter. This is what I want to do.
Now look at that Blood Hungry already taking a load of damage. They're trying to take out the 3K High Noon is going to be what they needed. Canceling through the Transcendence, same with the window. They have nothing to worry about, and that's going to give them more opportunity to continue pushing this point. And the farther this goes, the harder it is to play this Sigma competition.
Yeah, Lotus, that had Transcendence doesn't stop a Deadeye there. It is an insta-kill if he gets that skull up, so gotta get behind that terrain, gotta break that line of sight.
And that's Transcendence really only heals 200 per second, so even a Widow headshot can just absolutely destroy it. So when you're wanting to play into it, just like they're doing now, they're gonna switch up. They know that they just can't play around it, and especially in these tight corridors where the Sigma and Hog are gonna be stuck playing together, they have to deny this high ground, and they want to be able to take control.
Yeah, good swaps coming over on the side of Lotus. However, with these swaps, you lose a lot of that ult charge. You know, you lose any of that ult advantage you have, and now you see Bloodhound is going to come in and it's going to look for a big old shadow here.
Oh, they get a bigger D-Mac, so now there's no one really eating up the damage. Azo does get down, but does 360 shatter into the find them. Combined with the Coalescence, they have nothing to worry about. It's all crazy in here as they're just bringing out the final blow.
If you thought Blood Hungry was feeling it on Lijiang Tower, this man is in the zone right now on the altar, hitting that 360 shot.
It's the ego that you really need. The High Noon's coming in, looking at LOS. It does get eaten up, and the bombs being placed combined with the Death Blossom just so they can capture this point. They seem so frustrated because of the staggers going in. They wanted to make sure they had a full room to kind of win this.
Yeah, and now you have two really big, you know, I call it kind of zoning style ultimates with the Deadeye and the window coming from Reminiscence here, and nothing to really stop it on the side of Lotus. So if you window here, push him back, yep, and then you Deadeye around the corner.
Oh, but that's a shatter that's kind of payback for what happened before. Just running inside them, going behind the shield, being able to cancel out concept side noon. And now they just push in, stopping the snowball and being able to start getting control the point.
I want to point something out. Satino just swapped to Doomfist, right? Like, they just swapped. And this dude is already at 82% ult charge.
It's a difference.
Nutty. That is absolutely nutty.
I gotta say, it's a Doom difference. If you really ask me, one team has a Doom, one team doesn't. And honestly, it's saying with the ult charge, it's just bringing up a difference. Oxygen's Death Blossom, though, it's kind of massive. We're gonna just see how they try to set it up and get this fight's being taken so early before the Reiner can come in that the Shatter is able to hit out two people. Looking in, Wifey's gonna be Ajax now being able to get the sound barrier out while Oxygen's able to get two with the Death Blossom, saving the fight from any form of attachment.
Yeah, saving, like I said, saving the fight, and here I believe that's probably more just a remake bomb as opposed to trying to get something, you know, try to get some sort of kill there from Gamma Ray. Just wants to make sure that they have their mech going into this next fight. But this Death Blossom from Azure is going to be key. They need to get as much of the defense matrix out of Gamma Ray as they can. Oh. Not sure what happened there.
Hit the Uno card. You never said that. You never said that. As they're pushing in that immortality to be able to make Pineapple pops that window, is looking to make some LOS, put in some extra damage, looking to DMAC that Diva, and yet they're all able to play patient, wait their time to move in. But now they're gone. The Shatter not being able to hit much, and yet Azdo is going to be hitting everyone with their own form. Just that Death Blossom, that gives them room to push into the Halo, and now there's just an unfortunate scenario for Lotus.
Azdo taking it into their own hands, pressured the Diva, made them use up all of the defense matrix, got them out of mech with just the regular Hellfire shotguns, and then immediately, as soon as the DMAX started, they hit through.
This is their pushing in that window, making that room, but now the high noon is there. That shield just trying to back out. It's going to be doing a lot of damage, but yet we see Pineapple able to find out Concept. Alex is going to be able to find out the Baptiste. They're still pushing in. They want to be able to find it. Blood Hungry, still hungry. They're able to charge out Oxygen. But the Shatter is built, yet they don't need to pop it. And being able to cap this point with 2.3 seconds on the timing, you've got to give them some love for that.
And like you said, just the mind games there from Blood Hungry against the Reaper, waiting out that Wraith, timing it just perfectly in order to get that charge right as he comes out of Wraith form was just a chef's kiss on how to play Reinhardt. If any of you looking for, how to play Reinhardt aggressively, go in, get the codes from this match, watch Blood Hungry, watch the VOD back, just watch this man play, because this is how you play an aggressive without feeding Reinhardt. And that's a very tight line to push the aggression without going overly aggressive. Because we've all had that Reinhardt in our game that just, charges in on cooldown, just WM1s, and is an aggressive Reinhardt, but doesn't actually do his job as a tank. And Blood Hungry right now is towing that line very expertly.
I think it's rather not that Blood Hungry isn't feeding, it's just that the team refuses to let Blood Hungry go in alone. Every time the main tank moves in, I'm loving to see how Remnant move in with them. They're playing to keep the Reinhardt alive, which is a very hard thing to do in lower elos, but when your team is this in sync, it gives you those opportunities for your Reinhardt to play very aggressive, be able to shut things down. So now it's, once again, a counter v counter, kind of brawl v brawl, but the Doomfist is there, and I'm a little scared. There are a lot of high grounds to be able to slam from.
Yeah, there's a lot of high grounds, and there's a lot of ways to get to those high grounds without being seen. But we're going to see an early holding for them. Just, again, that kind of time bank battle here.
Yeah, but look, they're already being able to find out Pineapple. Blood's early charge is going to make the entire team a little low, and it seems that they're just choosing a reset rather than try to stall this out. They've lost the majority of their team, and while the Doomfist and Ryan are still there, they're pointed towards kind of, not a good situation. They're now pushing in. Blood Hungry able to get some good damage in. As your Fortress tries to charge, it's going to be shut down. And Blood Hungry has to shatter. It's basically free as they just shut down the rest of the opportunity. But the Doomfist tries to, slow it down, but it's not going to be happening.
That's kind of an ego shatter there, too. Like, the shatter, not 100% necessary to win that fight, but it's just like, hey, look how fast I built this compared to your guy who's only at half.
It's just like, hey, I'm gonna kill you guys faster, But insane with this bomb, it's really to help out this fight, as though able to take out the Doomfist, the green knight kill, combined with taking out the Reinhardt. They're now staggering themselves and finding an issue with being able to win this out, but they luckily get Blood Hungry. So the shatter that's gonna be building up to the side of Lotus is going to be big.
That's going to be big. However, one thing that they need to do, okay, they're finally doing it. They're coming out the top. Because that was the big thing that was holding them back, was they weren't clearing this high ground. And Asda was able to just rain in shotgun shots from above, uncontested. And now, okay, so now finally, yep, we're sending the D.Va after him. And he should finally die here, yes. And that should allow them to finally use up some pressure.
Asda almost did the Jankies, but it looks like Concept's gonna be the Scooby-Doo in here. Combined with that bomb, it's trading in 1 for 2. And yet Ashi's taking out Blood Hungry. So while Concept had a very amazing ult in the end, the rest of the team aren't being able to stay alive to be able to stay there and stop them from moving. Because that Death Blossom is gonna be making sure that nobody is able to come back.
Yeah, doing a good job of just making sure they're going to get a card push. And this card's going to get a decent amount of push before there's another recontest. It should kind of get around this Espen here and be on that final straightaway before we see a recontest here. And they might, Reminiscence might wait until they get to that archway. Although, if anything from the past match, they're just going to be aggressive and take it as soon as possible. Yeah?
Both shatters are out, but the Sound Barrier's going to be countering out both of the windows. We see that Death Blossom in the sky, not being able to find much, while the Baptiste is traded. We're looking for that slam. We're going to be going down into the Reinhardt, trying to find much, but they trade out in Baptiste. However, the Spookers are going to be able to play freely without any form of healing, to be able to play what they want. They're going to be losing out the Tracer and the Brig, but Blood Hungry is still there. But without the consistent amount of healing, he's relying on Azo to kind of kill the rest of the team. They're not able to. The spawn advantage are still equal, as the Doom is just fighting the D.Va, and we see the Reaper come back. Asdo just hoping to find Oxygen, but Oxygen now has that form of healing. They now have the sustenance and the sustain, and yet Asdo's already back halfway. These Doomfists are so equal, and ult charge is insane.
And again, I want to say Asdo there, showing great control there. What you can see the bloodlust in his eyes. He wanted that kill on Toxin, but not willing to aggress past the point of no return where he knows he's going to get into that feeding territory. And that's been the style of Reminiscence all match long of just, we're going to push it to that line, but we're making sure that we're not going to cross that line.
Now look at them already playing back, looking for the shatter. It's only really able to hit the D.Va. No one was there in that position, and yet the Pulse Bomb's able to hit some major shots onto the Moira. Not Moira, Baptiste. They are able to take out the Brigitte to trade, but they've lost the majority of their teams. They're 20 seconds down the line. The amazing ult from Remnants has given them such an advantage.
Yeah, you took off, what, a minute and a half, 2 minutes of time, almost, on that hold, and now an early rally here should give them armor for this last fight, and then a big old death blossom from Asdo, gonna look to close things out.
They're pushing in. It's all up, not only for them, that rally to be able to sustain them, but really for Remnants to just let them touch the point, give them an opportunity. Not much gaming has, but the rest of the team is dead. Even that bomb's gonna be there, finding out concept in the end, but the rest of them are gone, and we're gonna be seeing Remnants leave here the victors, the champions, as they win 3-1. An impressive game, to say the least.
Very, very impressive. That was probably the best map we've seen out of them all day. Just finishing out with time remaining, and then that incredible spawn hold for 2+ minutes. Just taking charge of this map and not giving it up once.
Gotta say, at first I was a little worried because the last maps were kind of close, especially on Blizzard World. It was fairly even. On Volskaya, it was one-sided, and similarly before, to see it come back to one-sided, meaning that they kind of got their composure, they got built back up. And that's what you love to see, because going into the regular season next week on the 17th, they're gonna need it.
Absolutely. And like you said, regular season, we're less than a week away from the start of the season. We're going to get our first round matches in next Wednesday, and we're going to have casts all next week. So please tune in, twitch.tv/OW Tranquility. And again, !donate for Rain. It is a phenomenal charity, folks. And even if you can't donate money, please share it with people. Just getting word out is a big thing. This is one of those subjects that just talking about it can do so much help.
It really is. I'm pretty sure we all have someone affected. But either way, if you're interested in our personalities, our Twitters are obviously on the handle, but you can also do @Caster to kind of see where we're from or what's going on. We did have an amazing broadcast, so we hope you stay tuned in for next week. When that stage 1 hits, it's a lot of games and it's a lot of personalities. Same with the productions, who's been doing absolutely amazing for us this week. So either way, make sure to hit that heart. You can follow on the Twitter. You can join the Discord. Keep up to date. But either way, we'll see you next time when it comes to Tranquility.